So that guy that wanted money, the guy that wanted to split the treasure trail reward, there's no positive outcome to that situation, right? So suppose it's strictly a dude that's just begging for money, right? So he's a semi low level with nothing equipped, right? And he's begging for money. Basically, is what that is. He wants some clue scroll reward because people are getting clue scrolls, and he wants to get some of that awesome loot or whatever, because that's what I've done. But if I do give it to him, he's nothing more than a beggar. He's just a dude that wants something for nothing. He won't respect what he gets. It won't be as nearly impactful as if he completed that clue scroll himself and worked for it. He has all the ability to do the clue scroll. He was just in Shiloh Village. That's one of the harder quests and longer quests to complete with some skills. So he has the ability to complete at least some clue scrolls. And instead he chooses to beg for it. So if you just give him money, like, it doesn't help anybody. You're now down that money that you worked for, and he gets that money that he never had to work for. He just asked to split for it. Now, the thing that makes me curious to split it is because you have those Jesus moments where you're being tested by somebody, right? And where somebody who actually is a lot richer than you, in a lot better situation, or is affluent in some way, does that to test you, right? To see if you were a worthy soul, right? To ask you to give them something that you worked for, and give it up, right? Because that's good. That's supposedly good, right? This is the altruistic kind of mentality. And if you do give them what you've worked very hard for, and they worked nothing for, right? You're helping out the beggar. You're helping out someone in need, someone who has less than you, or someone who requires that help in some way or another, right? But two things on that one. A, it's a shallow circumstance, right? If he actually did need help in some way, like he was stuck in the map and couldn't get out, is there something about his situation that is outside of his control? It's a very hard question to answer. Now, when it comes to, okay, suppose this is like a Jesus moment, and I go through with it, right? And I give him the thing, and he rewards me because I'm being a good Samaritan, right? And he rewards me with all this money and all this gold, and 10 times or 100 times as much as I could ever earn, or doubles the money that I gave him, or whatever, right? I didn't earn that either. I didn't work for that amount of gold. I didn't actually complete tasks and put in time to do it. I completed the treasure trail, and just I would have had that money from the treasure trail and taken it with me. If I give that to him, that's not anything for me. The money so it's 171k loot. So if I gave him half, it would have been 85k, right? I would get him 85k worth of loot, which is nothing to me, right? I can make 85k in 4 minutes or less, actually. So I can make that amount of money super duper fast, and it doesn't actually impact me much at all, if at all. But suppose he gives me 100 million for that, right? It's just this huge reward thing, and this is that whole mentality, what I think drives people to do it. And honestly, it's funny to me because people say it's a whole selfless thing to give away money, but everyone kind of hopes that they get something out of it, right? The guy's oh, that's some billionaire that you see YouTube videos of all the time, and that's what drives this machine. And suppose that he does give me that 100 million. What the hell am I going to do with it? That does two things, right? It makes the game much, 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 much easier, which isn't inherently better, right? I'm not necessarily a self-sufficient account. I'm definitely using the Grand Exchange, and I'm trading with people. But it's always mutually beneficial, right? I get something from them that they don't want to use, and I turn it into more profit, or I use it for a skill, or do something with it, right? Where, suppose I take that 100 million, what does that then mean? All that work and all that effort, the quests, the skills, the teleports, the supplies, the time, and actually doing those medium clue scrolls to get the 28 million that I got from my ranger boots. Does that just mean that all that amount of time was wasted? Or does that, how much does that demean the effort that I put in to get something that I deemed fantastic, right? That 28 million that I got from those ranger boots totally changed the trajectory of myself in RuneScape, right? Yeah, I got lucky. I got it on the 55th clue as opposed to 200th clue. But ultimately, I'm going to be doing thousands of those anyway, so I just got it a little bit earlier than I was supposed to. It wasn't like a major change as far as time-wise, but it did drastically impact my account. I was able to pay for prayer, I was able to pay for herblore, I was able to pay for construction, which then made everything else a little bit easier. But all of that happened initially from my work, my effort put into the game to be in a place for that kind of opportunity, right? Now, if somebody just gives me 100 million, did I really earn that? Like, the amount of time and effort that I put in to get the 28 million for those Ranger boots, how does that compare to a 5-second conversation with somebody where I give them 81K or 85K, whatever it was? How does that actually compare? That makes everything that I'm going to do from this point forward less valuable to me anyways, because I value the work and time and effort that I put into something. So it was just a weird epiphany that I had, like immediately after having that moment in Shiloh Village where the guy wanted the money, because I was like, there's no good outcome to this. Either he's a beggar who wants something for free, which I am not about at all. It's not actually helping him. It's 85K is nothing. The amount of time he spent there begging for, he probably could have been off making 2x or 3x as much if he bothered to level like fire making or bother to level combat or something. You know what I mean? Like, put some amount of effort to get even bigger rewards for himself, right? So I think that in itself is flawed. And then what do I get out of it? Suppose it is like a Jesus moment or a fancy, rich, you know, extravagant moment where someone just gives me something for being, quote, good. I don't actually deem that as being good. I don't see that giving away your money to a beggar as something that's good, that helps either you, them, or the people around you, because it perpetuates this idea that being altruistic, that giving up all of the things that you care about to someone else is good. So I know this is a ridiculous rant, but it's something that I see in RuneScape all the time. There's my rant on that. I know it's a pretty long rant, but I thought I'd share that moment. And I'm sure there are a lot of good arguments against me, and a lot of people will disagree with me on this point, but I think it's very, very important to realize just how much satisfaction you get from working for something. That maybe it's not necessarily that your life is better because it's easier. Maybe it's better because it's harder. I think that's